Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Now What Show. I have our guest Megha here with us, and I'll get to her introduction in just a moment. But before we do that, I want to share a message from our season sponsor. We're so delighted to have Go Imagine as our season sponsor here in our second season. And so Go Imagine is focused on building the maker community through a handmade marketplace. They also have a maker business education, custom websites, and a social app designed for artists called Maker Circle. And that's free, by the way, for Maker Circle. The Go Imagine community includes thousands of handmade business owners throughout the United States who are passionate about growing a handmade platform dedicated to quality handmade items, key handmade. And they also focus on social good that's helping children in need. So go ahead and check them out and follow them at goimagine.com. And without further ado, I want to introduce our guest, Megha, today. And let me tell you a little bit about what I thought was interesting about Megha's story as we get started. So, when I was doing research for our guests for this season, I wanted some really unique and different types of businesses. And then I looked at what she was doing. And I said, wow, this is incredible. I actually have a number of Indian friends as well, and I saw something fascinating in how she is taking what would otherwise be considered a unique one time jewelry piece, turning it into a statement piece you'll use for the rest of your life. Very interesting business niche. I love her strategy. And so please welcome Megha. And Megha, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the name of your business and tell us a little bit about the story of how you got started?
Okay, well, my name of my business is Mayaani Jewelry. It did undergo a name change. It used to be called Tayani Jewelry until I finally decided to stop trying to. There's a big giant Bollywood mogul basically whose name is very similar in in spelling to that particular one. So instead of thinking I can battle it, it's okay, I'll be visible despite this. I finally went, no, we're just going to change the name. So I did, and I put my initial in there, and it's my children's name with my name, which I love because it's got that meaning behind it. And of course, sorry, I've forgotten what the other bit of your question was there, Amber.
How you got started
Ah,
on this
how I got
business?
started. Right. Well, it's a bit of a long story. I'll cut it short. I began jewelry crafting when I was 16 years old. It was just one single afternoon session at my next door neighbor's house. She taught beading, fine beading using patterns. It was just that one afternoon. And after I was hooked, basically. She sent us away with a few patterns, which was lovely of her. And every bit of pocket money I had, I bought beading materials and I was beading. And I used patterns for about a year when I quickly then realized I wanted to explore in my own way. So I started creating my own patterns. And the beading never left me. I wanted to actually do it at university, but being from a South Asian background, I was encouraged towards a more traditional, stereotypical type of job. So, so this was my
Sure.
secondary career that I decided to focus on and became a speech pathologist. But this never left me the love of this. And then, of course, I had children after getting married, and I kept putting excuses in the way of why I couldn't start, why it wasn't the right time to start. And then my sister was getting married, my younger sister, and she approached me for a hand bracelet, actually, Indian hand bracelet. That's the
Ah,
particular piece of mine that people have asked me for over time, and I'm starting to realize is the one that I may want to focus on. But the Indian hand bracelet she asked me for, and that then evolved into asking for the Indian bridal headpiece, and then I surprised her with the full thing with the necklace and the earrings because I thought, well, she's never going to find a necklace and earrings to match this. So really,
of
I'm just going to have to
course.
make it. So
Well, right.
having
It's yeah,
yeah,
because it was so unique, right? Of course, she was never really going to find anything
exactly.
because it was created with love and from the heart and with a very unique design that was tailored to her. So
Exactly.
nothing's going to
She's
match
not,
that.
no, exactly. And it's the first time, interesting, that I actually merged because I've been doing crochet since I was about 14 and beading separately. It's the first time I merged the two art forms together and introduced wire artistry in there too. I'd never thought of this before. And of course, I managed to do that with my 1 year old on my back, often snapping. And I was like, if I can do it in this situation, I can do it. This is the time, basically. So so I began in September 2021, mostly just doing all the admin side, securing my domain because I didn't want my name to be lost, securing all the important platforms I needed to. And then I fully launched my website in April of 2022, which has gone through several revisions because I was very new at designing it. I'm still learning as I go along. I've designed it myself as well, which I quite like because then I know how it works as well. And then basically it's just been growing from there. And I've gone through several pitfalls, from creating generic types of jewelry that I think would appeal to masses to finally actually pulling myself to what it is I actually love making. And so really going all out with my designs, which is why if you have followed me, you'll see my designs seem to have gone from what seems to be fairly run of the mill kind of styles. They're different, but then there's nothing outlandishly different about them, to then what I'm doing now, where you're like, whoa, what is that? Basically. So
To these statement pieces, and
yes,
those statement
exactly.
pieces are what really caught my eye. And so tell me a little bit more about, is most of your business now custom? Has it sort of shifted that way to be
It's
more custom, or how is that balance working? Because you've been shifting, right, and in terms of what you produce.
I have had a few custom pieces made, but unfortunately, they aren't paying ones at the moment. Most of them have been giveaways, if you like. So I'm
Sure.
still trying to get my presence seen amongst the people who would value more custom work when it comes to big things like their wedding day or big occasions, whether you're mother of the bride or bridesmaid. So I'm still growing that pool, which is why I'm creating designs that I share on social media that are available as one of a kind stock, sort of in my online boutique. So those are
Ah.
pieces that are literally designed to be one off. They're not replicated in any way, and once you buy it, that's it, it's gone. So they almost attract people who might resonate with that design. But I want my work to become more custom because I love working with people directly, bringing to life a piece that is effectively an embodiment of that individual, a reflection of their individuality, something that when they wear it, it's not a piece of jewelry, it's an extension of themselves. And when they wear it, they feel whole in a way. Not that they need it to feel whole, but it just adds to them and brings what's on the outside for people to see. So all that beauty and strength and confidence inside is now suddenly on the outside, and they're now wearing it, and it's basically making them rise up with it. So that's the idea. So I'd love more custom work for this reason. So
Mhm. That concept to me is really fascinating. Let's dig a little deeper into that,
mhm,
right? And when we were talking and doing some of the planning, something that struck me as really interesting is sort of the power and sentiment that that jewelry can have for us. And for example, it could be a piece that you wear for your wedding, or it could be a piece for a special birthday or occasion that now starts to get memories attached to it, an association. So tell me
mhm.
a little bit about, where was the aha moment on that? How'd you come up with that? Because that's interesting.
I think for me, jewelry has been very much a journey for me personally. And when I was at my lowest in self esteem in my teenage years, it's actually jewelry that I felt the most beautiful wearing. So clothes would never do it for me because I was always a little bit overweight compared to my sisters in particular, who had wonderfully slim figures. I was never that, of that stature. So clothing never really did it for me. And so, but jewelry, on the other hand, when I wore beautiful statement pieces of jewelry, I not only felt more confident, carried myself differently, but people noticed the jewelry too. And it wasn't about the notice. If they noticed the jewelry and noticed how I was carrying myself, and I noticed that difference in myself. And certain pieces of jewelry that I still pull out from my jewelry wardrobe, I can remember every single memory attached to that piece of jewelry every time I wore it. And typically for me, I didn't have many pieces. I might have one or two statement necklaces I really loved, and I'd wear them all the time. Literally, they've become part of me, where people see that, they're like, oh yeah, that's Mega's. They'd know it instantly. So it became for me something powerful and meaningful, more so than just having a piece of jewelry. And I think I wanted to then share that with others, because I thought, if I can have this connection with jewelry, other people must have this, or should be able to nurture this connection too, because it's beautiful where you look at this piece of jewelry, and long after I've passed, for example, there might be pieces of my jewelry my loved ones can look at, and they'll get those memories of those moments that they saw me wearing it, and
Mhm.
they'll feel that connection with me through it. So I think that's partly where I'm still unpicking exactly why it's so important to me, but that's where I've got to so far with unpicking that.
Mhm. And I really resonated with that because there's a particular artisan in Barcelona that I have bought multiple pieces for. They're actually designed for flamenco dancers.
Wow.
Um,
Why not?
and in fact, I bought from her twice. In fact, I couldn't even remember her name the second time, and I
Right?
was
Oh,
endlessly Googling. I spent so many hours hunting, trying to find her shop. And then I thought, did she close in the pandemic? By the
oh
time I
no.
finally got back there, I'm like, I found you like 7 years later. And she was like, wow. Oh,
Wow.
okay. And I was like, here's what I bought from you before and all this other stuff. And she was quite surprised. I think she was like, I didn't know I was hiding, right? Because sometimes you buy a piece and then you can't remember the name of the business.
Yes.
You're like, well, that's terrible. I shouldn't have thrown that little card away. And I've now bought 3 different pieces from
Wow.
her
Mhm.
that are very similar to that same concept, that I was like, "Okay, I have an important meeting, an important conversation." I put one of those necklaces on, and I've done this for years, and people
Wow.
notice them. I mean, sometimes I wear them grocery shopping. They're like, "Whoa, that is cool." Even things that might be mundane or boring are end
Yes.
up being these fascinating conversation pieces
Yes.
in ways that I don't know that we necessarily even understand or
No.
recognize at the time. But they also are these go-to pieces for me, and they have a
Yes.
very strong association with memories and experiences. And so when I saw that that's what you were doing, I was like, you know what? I'm sure other people out there probably do it. I don't know every artisan on the planet, but that was the first time I'd come across it. And so I was like, no, I
Yes.
have to talk to her for this. And so that idea of a association and memory
Yes.
and working with people to also create sort of that positive reinforcement and that encouragement, and it's like you can wear your little badge of courage,
Yes.
right, when you
Yes.
have these situations, because not everybody else can always be there for you in all
No.
these situations on your path, but yet you can
Yes.
create these beautiful support mechanisms for you as well.
Yes.
So I think there's just something beautiful and lovely about coming up with that concept.
Oh, thank you.
So, knowing that you're kind of in this, I produce these statement pieces,
Mhm.
and then I'm also shifting toward custom work as well. Are you doing many markets? Do you focus more on online? So, let's talk a little bit about hmm, how do you actually proceed with selling, knowing the uniqueness of this strategy? Talk to me more about that.
To be honest, it's mostly been online at the moment, but I'm looking to get brick and mortar connections. So I'm looking to get
Mhm.
out into these bridal boutiques where you have got individuals looking for something different, to actually have
Mhm.
them then be the storefront, if you like, where people can get to know more about me. I would like to attend a few markets, but budget has been the main constraint for me because I'm still growing.
Mhm.
The
Right.
big markets I want to go to are basically the bridal shows is where I want to go, and they are not
Mhm.
cheap, of course, to
No,
set
they're
up or even
expensive.
pay for a stand at. And my aim is not to make sales there. It's just to make my presence known. That's the thing. But of course, that's the plan for the next 1 to 2 years ahead of me, is to actually get my store ready, know exactly how I want that to look. It's been shifting in my mind a little bit because I think that's important too. There's a certain look and feel I want to communicate from my store. I don't want to just hash it together necessarily, although it will no doubt evolve in itself. I want to have that to some degree where I want it to be and have that visualization of where it's going to be. And then find one or two of these big bridal events, whether it's an Asian one or just a general bridal event, probably both actually, to then put my stuff out there and see what people's response is basically to it.
Mhm. And especially is a lot of your focus going to be the wedding industry to start, because it sort of starts with that journey of where people often think about investing more um, on the wedding journey. Yes, and so there's lots of opportunities around other people in the wedding industry to be able to partner with, and to be able to do referral, kind of word of mouth types of things. And that's
Exactly.
the nice part about it is like, nope, I've narrowed in. It's going to be the wedding industry. But if it is the wedding industry, with these being so unique and one of a kind, you're right. You have to have the right presence, organized in the right way. And you
Yes.
have to know what your process is going to be if they do follow up, right? So that just the
Hmm.
right touch points. And the lead time is enormous on weddings.
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, I need a minimum of 8 weeks if I'm going to produce a bridal piece, full
Mhm.
bridal set, because you have to have that time to put the hours in on working on these pieces, and that would just be for one bride. So of course, if I had multiple orders, then the lead times are going to look a lot different, basically, for these pieces. So
Mhm. Absolutely.
yes,
And so even for you in the structure, it's really being cognizant of there's these very, very long lead times. And this could take several years to really
yes,
get the pieces moving,
yes,
because it's establishing your relationships with other suppliers who then have the right type of customer.
yes,
Because then it has to be that customer
yes,
that would value and invest in that statement piece. So that's going to be a subset of the market, so
exactly.
that they can refer on at times. And then there's the actual lead time of the weddings, which in a lot of cases is anything from 6 to 24 months, depending on a timing for weddings. And I'm
Yes.
not sure how long, if is there a typical in the UK for
Well, it is
engagement to
actually, I mean,
wedding? Is there a
generally one and
typical?
a half, it is 1.5 to 2 years because often the venues, like you say, are booked up. So if you're getting
Mhm.
engaged this year, you're not looking to get married for possibly 2 years' time, depending on the venue you want. Even
Mhm.
if it isn't the most popular venue, you're still looking to a year and a half's time. So yes,
Mhm. Yep. So it's quite a kind of a little process and lead time and a little juggling match and everything that goes into that. What do you think has surprised you the most as you've been sort of narrowing in on this? Is there anything you found surprising about this? Or you're like, oh, I didn't realize I'd like or not like, or what's been surprising about this part of the
I
journey?
think the interesting thing was, first of all, I didn't expect to niche down into bridal. Of course, having created my sister's set, that was first thing. But then I think the second thing for me was my bridal set. Because going back to your previous question about what inspired me to think along this path, I forgot to mention my own bridal journey. Of course, my wedding set was very much a run of the mill kind of high street, mass produced piece of jewelry, which I can't wear again. And the reason why that's so important for me is having become a mom and a wife and all those roles that you take on, you can lose something of yourself along the way. And I think my wedding day for me stands out as the day in my life when I really felt truly at my best, basically. I not only felt my best, I felt I looked my best, and I really was in true connection with who I was as an individual, who I am as an individual. And being able to wear those wedding pieces again, just in daily life, would be such an uplifting thing for me to be able to do, a little instant connection for me with my original self, with who I am, beyond
Mhm.
all these roles. So I think bridal has become a much more deep and meaningful thing for me. So I really have niched down on that. Where I was creating pieces for anybody who might be looking for, a statement piece, I really want to focus on bridal for that reason, because I have that connection with it. And I also think it's surprising that the Indian hand bracelets are are the route that I'm thinking of niching myself down further into, because there isn't much available in the market when it comes to Indian hand bracelets, actually. Most of them are, you've
Mm.
got the flower ones going out there, which are quite popular at the moment. But once you've worn the floral one, because it's fresh flowers, of course, there's, apart from preserving it, you can't wear it again, basically. So
Right,
we're thinking of
right.
taking this Indian hand bracelet, which typically, I mean, it's stuck as one piece. So when are you going to wear it again? You have to wait for another big occasion, basically. So I thought,
Mhm.
well, let's think about this creatively. Can I make that Indian hand bracelet become a couple of different workable pieces? So actually, when you're not wearing it as one whole piece, you can wear elements of it and they can easily flow into your everyday life. So that's where I think, yes, so I hadn't fully expected to be niching down into that and that specific product. And the tiaras as well. I love the tiaras because, again, with tiaras, beautiful headpiece. Some brides like them and they wear them, but then what do you do with them? They get stored away and that's it, basically. Whereas I thought, no, let's think of a way you can wear an element of this tiara again. So that's where I've got my detachable pendant concept from. So you can detach a piece, you can still wear the tiara, it still looks beautiful without it, but you can wear that pendant in day-to-day life, and it's that beautiful little reminder of your. And I've had people that I've met just in normal conversation who've said, gosh, it would be nice to be able to wear an element of my wedding day again, because my gown, well, I can't really wear that again, it's kind of stuck. So I
Right.
was like, well, what about being able to wear pieces of your bridal jewelry again in everyday life? They said, oh, that's actually a really nice idea. So I have, but these are people who are already married. So now I've got to get the
Right.
people who are not already married to become aware. So those are some of the surprising realizations for me, that I'm taking this big bold step. For me, it felt big and bold because I felt, surely if I make things for everyone, I'm more likely to make money with that. But the whole point is, but I'm creating a load of stuff that it doesn't really have that pull towards it, because none of it's particularly deep or meaningful. So taking this deep dive into bridal is very big for me, because I know bridal is also, you worry that they've got brides with ideas in their minds of using gemstones and diamonds, and because I don't work with that, I work with very humble materials. So there is that initial thought of, oh, am I trying to go down an avenue where everyone's basically very fixated on, we need to have precious metals and precious stones, and
Mhm.
is there any pool here for me? So there is a bit of a wonderment in that and a bit of discovery to be had. But yes, I think those are the surprising realizations for me.
Mhm. Well, I think it's all about finding, which brides value that piece. It isn't that it has to be some, like you said, have diamonds in it or something,
No.
but it's that it's very unique and it's associated with the wonderment and the special sentiments that honor that occasion.
Yes.
And so people that would feel that type of connection to it, and there's different types of weddings, as we all
Yes.
know, and there's
Yes.
different budgets for
Yes.
weddings, as well. And so even for you, you're looking for an approach and the memories with a bride, not necessarily a specific type of budget. And
No.
that is
No.
really that
Yes.
makes it really interesting in terms of the conversations and how you even have to write about that and talk about
Yes.
that. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. All right. So our next step is tell everyone where they can find you. How can they find you on the
Ah,
socials, and how would they learn more about you so they can follow this journey, because it's very interesting as you keep laying all these pieces out.
of course. Well, it's really easy. My website is www.mayanijewelry.com, and Mayaani is Mayaani jewelry.com. So it's very street. I'm glad I secured that domain because it's nice and easy to remember. And of course, my socials are off that. So it's at Mayaani.jewelry on Instagram and on Facebook as well. I'm on Pinterest too and TikTok if you follow TikTok. So,
Mhm.
basically, I put myself everywhere I can. But typically, you can find me there. I have got an email address, which is Mayaani, which I spelled, of course, Mayaani .jewelry@gmail.com. It will become a more professional ending when I have the budget, but at the moment it is that, and that works just fine. So you can reach me there. I'm of course based in the UK, in Kent, the southeast of England, and my mobile number is available on my socials. So again, there are several ways to contact me. I try to make myself accessible, and like you say, budget friendly too, because the main thing is really helping individuals to see how beautiful this piece of jewelry could not only be for them, but being made for them. Get that VIP experience. I've always felt people should have one piece of jewelry that is unique to them. Nobody else in the world has it, and it's being able to share that love that for me is the most important thing. So I work to whatever budgets, as you said, is necessary, because it's more about imparting that love and that happiness to that other individual, basically, for me.
Mhm. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mega, for joining us. And thank all of you who are watching this as well. And we will catch you in the next episode. And special thank you to our sponsor, Go Imagine.